Welcome to the Joy of Awareness. My name is Tolly Bryn, and today I wanted to talk about the dichotomy between healthy and unhealthy. And there are some misunderstandings about health, obviously, but about what is healthy and what is unhealthy, because these are words that are thrown around so often, but that I don't think we actually understand what's behind them, you know. The example that I'm thinking of right now has to do with dairy, simply because for most of my life, I kind of assumed that I was lactose intolerant, which it turns out I'm not. But I had this idea that, you know, dairy was somehow just inherently harmful and unhealthy. And, you know, there are quite a lot of reasons for this. There's general propaganda in the media about, you know, lactose intolerance and dairy intolerance, and that these products are not conducive to a healthy life. And books such as the China study, for instance, have really demonized the dairy industry. And, you know, the dairy industry itself, I'm no fan of how these animals are treated and actually how the products are treated, like with ultra high treatment and how do you say, like they kill all the bacteria in the natural bacteria in the raw milk, and you get this pasteurized product that's nothing really, that doesn't really resemble the actual dairy product itself. But that's neither here nor there. What I wanted to say is that dairy for one person may be healthy and unhealthy for another person. For instance, I am of Nordic ancestry. I'm Icelandic, and my ancestors, my forefathers, have been eating and drinking dairy products for thousands of years, and I really believe that makes a huge difference between, for instance, someone like myself and someone maybe of Japanese origin or from some ethnicity that hasn't had dairy in its sort of ancestry for as long as the Nordic people have. So after I came out of my first long fast, which was 10 days, I had a really strong craving for dairy products, for especially like fermented dairy products such as yogurt and cheese, for instance. And, you know, I had these cravings before throughout my life, but I'd never really given them much consciousness, simply because I was sure that they were unhealthy and I shouldn't be craving them anyway. But when I came out of this long fast, I felt so much better physically. Like, my health had improved so much, and I was just ready for a completely different paradigm on what health means. Like, the fact that I got so much better, I was dealing with all kinds of autoimmune issues, and they got so much better from this one fast that it really turned everything on its head. Like, all of the ideology that I had been following up until this point, I just found out it was just complete crap, really. It had no substance behind it. So I was ready to change my diet. And at first I came out of the fast and I was like, you know, I'm going to follow like a raw fruitarian diet. That's probably the healthiest thing I could do, coming out of a long fast. And I did so for the first day, and I felt horrible. I was just like, you know, I felt so much better after the fast, but then I started eating like this, and it was just like, wow, this is not helpful for where I am now, and I'm not gaining anything from eating like this. And all the while, my body was craving all these dairy products, and chicken as well, and cucumbers, and all kinds of things, but it was really limited to maybe 4 or 5 different foods that my body was just like, I need this, give me this, don't give me watermelon and grapes, give me, you know, really fat dairy products like butter and cheese and Greek yogurt, give me chicken and give me cucumbers, and that's it. That's what it was asking for. And I was too stupid at first to just give my body what it was asking for. But then I realized, like, my body and the cravings that it's giving off, you know, it's way more it's way more conducive to health that I trust what my body is saying rather than some, raw fruitarian ideology or whatever it is. And so that's what I did. I started eating intuitively, and I felt instantly better. As soon as I had the first spoonful of Greek yogurt, the first piece of matured cheese, I was just like, wow, what have I been doing with my life? Like, where have these ideas come from? How have I strayed so far off the sort of natural path of eating what my body is asking for, and rather giving it all kinds of fake stuff? Like when I was eating as a vegan, I was just constantly eating like meat substitutes and cheese substitutes and all this stuff. And still kind of trying to convince myself that this was healthy, that this was good, which it absolutely is not. And so, the question of whether something is healthy or not isn't really as simple as it might seem. Like, there may not really be, especially in the realm of whole foods, you can't really say that any one food is healthy and the other is unhealthy. That doesn't really make any sense. For some people, if somebody has a allergy for belladonna fruits, for instance, a tomato will be very unhealthy for that person. But for somebody who can digest a tomato very well, it'll probably be very healthy. It's very nutritious, and there are a lot of nutrients in it that you may not be able to get in other places. So, as always, an individual approach is needed for this. And this is becoming clearer and clearer for me that the realm of the health industry, of medical industry, is completely bogus. Like, it rests on the ideology that human beings can be put into a little box, and you can say, like, this is healthy, this is unhealthy, this is what you should eat, this is what you shouldn't eat. And it's just baloney. Like, certainly there are principles that apply to all human beings. Like, we need sunlight, we need water, we need nutrition. But apart from those guidelines, and I would add a few more, such as, eat natural whole foods instead of artificial crap. that one should be obvious, but it isn't obvious for most people for whatever reason. Exercise is good for everybody, definitely. But in the same way, is exercise healthy? Not if you overdo it, not if you run for 60 kilometers per day for 60 days. Like, I don't think that's healthy at all. So everything can be taken out of proportion and made to be unhealthy. And as with all things, all of these things land on a spectrum. Are tomatoes healthy? Not if you eat a bathtub full of tomatoes, that'll probably kill you. But seriously though, this is something to keep in mind. And something that I think it's very important to become conscious of, that the only way that you can know if something is healthy is to eat it yourself and see what the results are. And when I say this, please don't think that I'm saying that you should, eat a spoonful of aspartame or MSG or whatever. Just what I'm talking about here is whole foods. I'm always talking about whole foods. There's so much crap and artificial foodstuffs out there. Just stay away from them all. Like, really, those things will not help you reach good health. That's like putting, I don't know, olive oil on a diesel engine or whatever. It's just not, it just doesn't make any sense. Don't give your body something that isn't food and expect it to work the way it should. It won't help, and it'll make you sick. So keep that in mind, and keep in mind that health can only be found on an individual level. You may find ideas that will be helpful, ideas that will help you reach true health, but just make sure that you're being sensible and that you're following your gut, that you're following what your body says. A final point on this would be that as you go further on this journey, you'll start to realize that sometimes your body craves stuff that isn't actually conducive to your health. The strongest example that comes to mind are coffee and sugar. Sugar, obviously, processed sugar, is not a health food. I would say, in general, sugar is not healthy. Processed sugar, that is. There is a time and place for everything, obviously. But in general, if you're eating a lot of sugar, your body will crave more sugar. And this is simply a withdrawal effect, and you're craving relief from the withdrawal of a sugar crash. That's basically what's happening. And the same thing can be said about caffeine. There's nothing inherent in caffeine that makes it healthy or nutritious, but rather it has a certain hormonal effect on your body and your mind, giving you a mood boost, a concentration boost. And when you haven't had coffee for a couple of days, if you're a regular coffee drinker, you'll start to get cravings for coffee. And it has nothing to do with the nutrition or whether it's healthy or not. It's simply that, to make a good analogy, like you've been walking around in shoes that are 2 sizes too small, and you want to take them off. And you'll feel huge relief, but not pleasure from doing so. And the same can be said about coffee. You're going through withdrawals. You want coffee to get relief from those withdrawals, but it's not actual pleasure that you're getting. Even though, that can be debated. Like I get great pleasure from drinking a cup of coffee, especially with some friends. But is it actually pleasure? I'm not sure. Maybe I'm lying to myself saying that it's pleasurable when in fact it's just relief. But anyway, that's something to keep in mind also, that your body can be imbalanced. It can be fooled into thinking that it needs something that it doesn't actually need. Anyway, I'm gonna end this video here. I hope you got some value out of it. If you did, you can like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below if you want me to talk about a specific subject, or even if you just want to talk to me directly, like that's fine. I'd love to hear insights from other people who are working with the same ideas that I am. And if you disagree with something that I'm saying, please leave a comment. Like, I'd love to talk to you about it. Otherwise, I have a book out called Health Simplified that I'm sure you'll love if you have any interest in what I'm talking about here. It's $3 on Amazon. You can check it out. I'm really happy recently. I've been getting a lot of good reviews on it. And I basically go into my own story of healing through fasting and a simple diet. And I made sure to make it as concise and valuable as possible. I made sure not to add any fluff. So it's short and concise, and it gets to the point of what health actually is. And I think you will really enjoy it. Otherwise, you can check out my website, joyofawareness.com, where I write all kinds of articles on all aspects of health. And I'm sure you'll find something to suit your particular interests on there. Otherwise, I hope to see you next time. Share this video if you want, and peace.